know what time it is? Yeah. You know what time it is? Some people are probably like, what time is it? You know what time it is.
It's showtime.
Dude, Isaiah's still connecting to the audio? Come on, man. What type of...
What did he buy his mic? He buy his new mic or something?
What type of dial-up internet is that? Come on, Zay.
It's crazy. No doubt,
Come on, man. What type of dial-up you got at the crib, man?
This my girl crib in the meeting space.
Dude, what does it say? Afghan wives? What?
It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot.
And Afghan wigs. It's bands and stuff. So
Must be a music family, man.
yeah.
Uh-oh, Steelers up early. Hold on now.
Woo.
Hey, don't mind me. I'm in my drawers. I gotta switch, bro. I'm telling you, this closet is so hot. All right, so we'll do the BG. I'm gonna put it on you, big dog. We're gonna do you set the parameters. Yeah, we're gonna do current players. Now, last week we began each segment with BG as the first guy. I always like to switch it up. So Zay, you'll start as the first guy in each segment.
Okay.
So we'll do have it right in front of me what we got. So, and I don't know if you guys noticed, in the NBA they actually do it like per week. So this is technically the upcoming week. Monday is the start of week 14.
So when we go over the top 10, you want me to explain the parameters?
I do. I'm gonna say this is your segment. This is your baby.
What did I even say? I don't even remember that.
You said stats.
Stats, ability, and performance this year.
Stats, ability, and performance this year in particular.
Yep.
Don't tell me about 1998. Don't tell me about 2014. Nah, don't tell me about none of that.
No, I got you. But still.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, look, I like current now. The injury thing is crazy because how do you classify Durant now?
I still put Durant in it.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, he's only out for 4 weeks, so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they already. Well, yeah, I'll talk about it in the show.
Uh-oh. Slow down, Zay. What you got for us?
Nah, on the Durant topic.
All right, yeah. So we'll go the best of. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna flip that. Let's do the best of last week, players and teams. Then we'll talk about Durant being out because that should be rather quick. And then that should fall right into the top 10.
All right, yeah.
That makes sense. And then we'll do the best of the games. Dude, there were a lot of Memphis games, so I didn't add all of them, but Memphis is in here twice. It was some crap games, coming up this week, to be honest. Like, I'm talking like Pelicans, Pistons. Like, nobody care about that.
Yeah.
So Monday, which is like the MLK tomorrow, like there's a bunch of games. Every team is playing tomorrow. So, but I can only find one game, which kind of ticked me off.
Fine. I wrote down your games and kind of jotted my picks down, and I mean the games you gave are fine. I mean,
yeah. And again, it worked out last week just like we did. Like if there's another game where we feel like we at least should mention it, we'll do that. So those 4 games actually 5 games I got. We'll go over that. Let's go! We back again. Show number 2, man. How you guys feeling? This is the Coach T NBA show with the man, the myth, the legend himself, BG, with the other man, the myth, the legend himself, Isaiah. We call him Zay. Fresh off of a nice little battle with Indiana Christian, man. I feel like we should have won that game. Big underdogs last night. Our guys played our hearts out, man. Did they thing, but hey, we're gonna talk about that game a little bit. But before we do all that, BG, Zay, tell the people how you guys feeling, man. We'll start with you, Isaiah.
Hey, it's an honor to be back on the show for week 2. That just means that we're doing something right. But I hope everybody's doing well. Definitely shouts out to our basketball team. They played their hearts out and really proud of their effort. And hopefully we can keep calculating it up, which we will. into better things as the days come. But looking forward to this show, man. We've been chatting about it all week with each other, and it's gonna be a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm doing all right too. It was a great game last night. Like Zay said, man, this is starting to become one of my favorite parts of the week. It's hard. We see each other every day, so it's hard not to give too much away or kind of spoil the show a little bit, so that all our reactions are kind of real lifetime reactions here. But did all right with my picks last week. Kind of dropped the ball on some. Clay didn't play as well as I thought, but hopefully my picks and my takes and my little gadgets here this week turned out a little better than last week. So
I will say, BG, your boy Luka, man, got that triple-double for you.
He did.
And then he topped it off with a W.
We're going to talk about Luka a little bit early here. So.
All right, cool, man. So as you guys know, fans, if you're new listeners or if you're old listeners, BG, Zay, and I, we coach together along with the great Michael Brown. We coach together at Hobart Basketball. We've been doing that, clearly all year, but it's been a fun year. It's kind of been up and down, but we're kind of in the meat of our schedule right now. So we competed last night, didn't get the W. We're not about the moral victories, so don't get that twisted. But at the same time, man, when you coach in high school sports, any high school, coaches out there, athletes out there, parents out there, at the end of the day, you want the players to compete, man. And that's what we got last night. So proud of those guys for at least doing that, giving themselves an opportunity to win the game. And then the chips didn't fall how we wanted them to, but at least we showed, hey, Hoper, we don't back down. So any of these next teams we're going to play, we don't back down. So that's what you're going to get from us. So let's get to the NBA, man. A lot of teams in the NBA don't back down as well. There's a lot of top teams that competing, trying to stay at the top spots. Also, some of these top teams out there, they're not really getting the job done, especially when you consider last week kind of faltering. And I'm kind of looking at you, the Chicago basketball team, aka the Chicago Bulls, man. They kind of, Zay, don't look at me like that. They fell off a little bit, fell off their high horse, but hey, that's the thing about the NBA. You got an 82 game stretch in the regular season, then you got to hop to the playoffs. So in that 82 game regular season, it can go up and down, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we got to remember that with that. So let's go right here, man. And officially, and I was telling BG and Zay this, and I didn't really recognize this because people never talk about this with the NBA, but the NBA, they actually classify each week and they number them. So last week was technically week 13th. This week coming up, which is January 17th, MLK Day, through January 23rd, that is week 14th. So we're going to go over our best of week 13, and then we're going to project a little bit to week 14 with the top games there. So Isaiah will begin, BG will be in the second slot, and I'm batting third up in that thing. So we'll start here with the best of last week within the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference. We'll do the best of with the best player last week, NBA Week 13, and then we'll do best team of NBA Week 13 in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. I've spoken enough. Isaiah, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Hey, thanks for handing it off. And right off the bat, I'm going to go with Western Conference Player of the Week, as Coach T mentioned. Got to look at John Morant, what he's been doing. And it's been resulting into a lot of wins, other than their last game against the Dallas Mavericks. But John Morant is my Western Conference Player of the Week. It's averaging, in his last 10 games total, averaging 26 points per game, averaging 24 on the season overall. So you can see he's been elevating this game more and more. Teams are going to have to start keying on him, which Dallas did, but he still managed to get 19 points. And so hats off to him for sure. And I can definitely imagine him having more big games as the season progresses. For my Western Conference Team of the Week, I'm going to go with the Suns. They're like one of those quiet 30-ball teams. Like
quiet but deadly.
Yeah, quiet but deadly. Yes. And they've three wins in a row, over some tough teams. The Pacers, they've definitely they're one of those young teams that have been on a roller coaster all season, but they play everyone tough. And so it's cool to see that Chris Paul is kind of like handing off the torch a little bit to Devin Booker, who's just been having monstrous games. He scored 30 in their win against the Pistons, their 135-108 win against the Pistons. And he's just been having a heck of a season, averaging 23.7 points a game with assisted turnover ratio that's it's not the greatest, but Chris Paul's is what I was actually looking at. Has a 4.3 assist to turnover ratio. So a lot of good ball being played in the Western Conference. But I'm actually very impressed. And last week I mentioned how the East impressed. They've been impressing me this season. You know, usually it's like the top teams. You could tell who the top teams are, but recently this season, I feel like it's a mesh. It's probably 3 or 4 teams that could compete for an NBA championship this season. You know, even though the Brooklyn Nets, they just got the injury with Kevin Durant, they're still NBA contenders. You got Chicago Bulls, and then you got the Milwaukee Bucks as well. And Boston Celtics are a dark horse. But nevertheless, getting into my player of the week, Darius Garland. He is just growing all season. You know,
Amen.
A lot of people have been like saying he's an all-star, and he's showing why he's an all-star. But he's just been on a tear. He had a 32-point game the other night, and since then it's just been growing and growing. He's averaging 20 points per game in his last 10 outings, and also against the Brooklyn Nets in 2 games played, he's averaging 24 points a game. So a championship caliber team, he's showing that he can play at that level consistently.
And Zay, I think last game he had over 20 points and he had 18 assists, which he was the first player since the LeBron James to do that for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I want to shout him out, man. I want to make sure that's known right there.
27 points, 18 assists.
27 points, 18 assists. He was responsible for I can't even do the math there, but 27 plus. I mean that's like 50, 45, but 18 assists. Assists is at least 2 points.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So 36 plus 27. Let me see. 36 plus 7 is 43 plus 20. So 63. So at least 63 points in the game. That's crazy.
It's absurd. And the even mind-boggling stat is that he only had, well, guess how many turnovers he had?
2, 5. He probably had a bunch. I don't know.
He had 2 turnovers, 18 assists. 18 assists and 2 turnovers. And that is mind-boggling. That's
Can he play for Hobart? Can he play for our team? Can we trade for him?
Goodness gracious. I wish that. I mean, he's an elite level player. And I kind of buzzed in BG's ear during the a couple of days ago that I feel as if he is going to be like one of those stars that people didn't realize, like, man, this guy could be, you know, top 15 player in the NBA this year. So definitely keep an eye out for him. Hats off to him.
Little sneak preview. Okay, our top 10s. Okay.
Yes. So hats off to him, Eastern Conference Player of the Week. And my Eastern Conference Team of the Week is the Nets. You know, they beat up on the Bulls pretty bad. And although people were heckling me on social media, I still think that, you know, the Bulls lost to a good team, but the Bulls are going to catch up to that team. But you give credit what's credit's due, and I'm giving credit to the Nets. They are getting it done, and the players that need to perform, obviously this news coming a day after we find out Kevin Durant is out for 4 to 6 weeks. But as of last week, everybody showed that they still the team to beat in the NBA. So there was a hiccup against the Thunder. I'm pretty sure that was the game that Kevin Durant went down in. But nevertheless, they bounced back with a win against the Pelicans. And obviously the whopping of the Bulls. And they sit atop, I believe, in second place, or they might have sole possession of first. Nope, they're 0.5 games. Yes. So 0.5 games back behind the Bulls. You wonder, but I still think they'll stay up in that 1 or 2 slot. So it'll be interesting to watch. But there you have it. My teams and players of the week.
All right, I'm going to hop in, and I'm actually going to start in the East because it's kind of interesting what just happened here. I'm going to flip-flop player of the week and my team of the week, and me and you are kind of on similar pages here. So for my player of the week in the East, I actually went with James Harden. He's not having as stellar of a year scoring as he has in the years past. He's kind of turning into that facilitator role a little bit. But in a 7-day stretch, he played 3 games last week, averaged 26 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 13 assists. In 2 of the games last week, he had 15 and 16 assists in 2 of those games. So he's balling out. Like I said, not doing as much scoring this year. His scoring's down, I think, to about 22 points a game, but he's rebounding the ball and he's getting other guys involved. My team of the week is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They went 4-0 last week on a road trip, and they did beat up on some of the bottom barrel teams. They beat the Kings, Sacramento Kings, the Spurs, the Thunder, but they also had a 20-point win over the Jazz on Wednesday night, and the Jazz are the 4th seed right now in the West. Cavs are sitting in the 6th spot in the East, kind of a surprise team this year, doing a little better than anyone really anticipated. And they're sitting right behind the 76ers and the Bucks. So before the year started, I don't think you would ever put Cleveland in the same conversation with the Bucks or the 76ers or the Nets or the Bulls. And they're right behind those guys and, trying to finish out the year in a good playoff position, see if they can make a run. For the West, my team of the week in the West, I went with the Mavs. They went 2-1 last week. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games dating back to the last couple weeks. And they had a massive 27-point win over the red-hot Grizzlies and Ja Morant, ending their 11-game winning streak. So that's who I went with for the team of the week. The Mavs, they got Porzingis back. They got, Coach Kidd back. They got Luka staying in the lineup a little bit more. So I think they're going to pick up some steam here, and I think they're going to get hot a little bit and start being one of the premier teams in the West. As for my player of the week, he plays on a pretty bad team, plays on the Spurs, but I'm going to go with, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Jonte Murray averaged 24.6 points last week, 8.8 rebounds, 9 assists.
Jonte
Murray.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Had a triple-double against the Rockets on Wednesday. And he had 2 other games last week where he had like 8 assists, 9 rebounds, so he was just shy of a triple-double. He's balling right now, man. He should be an all-star probably for the West. His team isn't doing that great, but the Spurs, their roster's not that deep. He's balling out for Coach Pop and doing a good job for the Spurs out west there. So that's my Western Conference Player of the Week there.
All right, I like that. And just so the people know where you guys are coming from and who you pick, and to make sure I can actually put this down. Zay, who did you have for Eastern Conference in player and team of the week last week? You muted again. Week number 2.
Technology, man. But player was Darius Garland.
Okay, Garland.
And team was Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. Team Nets. All right. And then Western Conference.
On the West was Ja Morant for the second week and the Phoenix Suns.
The Suns. Okay. And then BG, who did you have for the players of the week? Eastern Conference. We'll start there.
For the East, I had James Harden. For the team of the East, I had the Cavs.
Team Cavs. Ooh, yeah, they had a nice little week. Okay.
In the West, I had Jonte Murray and the Mavs.
So player, you had Jonte Murray.
So I had the Cavs and the Mavs there.
Cavs, Mavs.
Going on.
Kind of rhymes. Okay. And then team Mavs, like you said, in the Western. Okay. So I like all those picks, man. I like what you guys are doing there. I like that we have variety, number one. I like the fact that we got some. I don't know who mentioned it. I think it was or Zay actually last week that mentioned. I mean, you got some young budding superstars in the NBA right now. Some guys that are really showing their tail right now in terms of what they can do and showing the world their ability, man. So I love to see that. I definitely know Garland had a very nice week last week. I picked him as a sleeper for the All-Star game starter. And he just showed why he should be in that conversation for sure. John Morant, we know what he's doing, man. That team went on a 9-game winning streak. Got knocked off by the Mavs. Mavs, are getting hot at the right time. Luka's coming back, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And they just got a lot of confidence, man. So I like what they're doing there. And then just Jonte Murray, man, he has become kind of the player that a lot of people thought he would be. He become that, that triple threat in terms of being able to score, being able to pass, being able to rebound, being able to facilitate, play defense, do all those things. So, and I got respect for him too, because he's coming off of the ACL, a couple of years ago, which me personally, I've done that twice. So I know how tough that is. So to come back at a high level like that at the NBA level and, to be a potential all-star, that's saying a lot. For me, I'm going to start in the Western Conference. And my player and team of the week, it's the same franchise. We got Nichola Jokic. All right. Nichola Jokic right now. First of all, this team last week, they went what? They went 3-1 last week. They knocked off the Lakers, smacked up on the Lakers, almost 40-pieced them in the last game. And then they 30-piece the Trailblazers. They lost a close one in LA. To the Clippers, so that wasn't too good of a sign, but you get to LA, man, sometimes the LA streets get you. And then before that they knocked off the Oklahoma City Thunder, so they're beating the teams they should beat. They're doing the things they should be, and a lot of that has to do with Nichola Jokic. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal, man. I love players like him because I'm a guy that loves people that can pass the ball. I love to play defense and love to play team-oriented basketball, and he does the right things. And then last week, he had games of 22 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists. That was against OKC. Against the Clippers, he had 21 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. Against Portland, he had 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and that was in a blowout, so he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. Same thing with the Lakers. He didn't even play in the second half, basically, and he had a triple-double. So you guys do the math, man. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that I absolutely love, man. And then in the Eastern Conference, for me, there's a lot of choices in the Eastern Conference. I'm actually going to double back, man. I said it before, and this is a preview to my top 10. This cat is the Shaquille O'Neal 2.0. I cannot stress that enough. We talking about Joel Embiid. Look, in the Western Conference, we rave about the Memphis Grizzlies. They had a 9-game winning streak. In the last 10 games, they won 90% of them. They won 9 games. You talking about for the Sixers, in their last 10 games, guess how many they won? They won the same amount. They won 9 games, right? And again, all that has to do with Joel Embiid. I mean, this guy is absolutely unstoppable. I would hate to be a coach that has to face him, because I don't know how you even remotely consider trying to stop this young man, because he is absolutely unstoppable. He can literally do everything. Last week, in their wins, he had, again, games of 31-6 and 3, 25, 13 rebounds and 6 assists against Boston. Against Miami, he had 32 points, 12 rebounds and 3 assists. And the thing is, the cat is so efficient. He's efficient from the floor. He gets to the free throw line. He knocks down free throws. He hits a 3-pointer or 2 a game, and then he gonna turn around on defense, block shots, command the paint, and really deter anybody from really wanting to go inside of the paint and contest. Because again, he's a guy that both sides of the floor he gonna do his thing. So those are my guys right there. I love that we have all different players. I love that we again show variety, and again, that's just a testament to. The league is in really good hands. It really is, man. Young talent, old talent, in-between talent. They got international talent, domestic talents, East Coast, West Coast. They got everything, man. So I'm really excited. Just intrigued to see how this season will continue. So I think we got a good thing going here. All right. So news, we mentioned it. Kevin Durant, he's out 4 to 6 weeks, MCL sprain. Thank God it's not an ACL or anything like that where he's going to be out for, a year or so, out a month and a half. Now, that does change a lot of things, especially in the Eastern Conference. Right now, I'm looking at the Eastern Conference. The Brooklyn Nets, they are number 2. They're actually tied. They're a half game ahead of the Miami Heat. And speaking of the Miami Heat, a guy that I was considering for my player of the week in the East was Tyler Hero. And he don't even start for that squad. He almost had his first career triple-double. I don't know if anyone saw that highlight where he was 1 rebound away. It's like literally like the last 10 seconds of the game, they're winning. None of that's, the rebound doesn't really change the game at all. The other opposing team, they shoot the shot, they miss the shot. He has a clear chance to grab this rebound, and then some big guy from the other team just skies in and grabs a rebound for him. And then the story continues. This big guy kicks it back out to his teammate. They shoot another shot, and then Tyler Hero's going for that rebound, and then a clock strikes 0. He grabs a rebound, but it's after the whistle. So I feel bad for that kid. But again, you talking about a guy that, is kind of in the mode of Manu Ginobili, kind of in the mode of the old school James Harden, where 6-man type, where, Jamal Crawford, those type of guys, Lou Will, where they come in and they're straight buckets. So I love Tyler Hero and what he can do there. But again, the Nets are tied with, or a half game ahead of the Heat for the second spot in the Eastern Conference. To me, this is going to be a death blow to the Nets in terms of keeping that second spot. I think there's potential where they definitely fall out the second spot. There's potential where they fall out of the 4th spot, right? Because the 5th team in the East right now is the team I just spoke about, which are the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 25-17. And the Nets, who are in second place, they are 27-15. So they're only 2 games ahead of them, basically. So if the Nets, they don't start winning games, half of the games Kyrie's not playing because he's only playing away games. Harden, you kind of don't know what you're going to get at times. He's been playing well recently, but again, you don't really know what you're going to get all the time from him. There's a chance they could fall out of the top 4, which again, in the first round, that's your home court advantage. So what do you guys' take on Durant, his injury, how that will affect the seeding for the Eastern Conference and just the playoffs as a whole, as we kind of, turn the page on the second half of the year?
So me, I say this quite often, so I know our listeners are gonna be like, well, you kind of spoke this into existence, but I think the Nets play better. They've been in this situation. So obviously, Kyrie couldn't play to start the season. James Harden had his problems last year. And even through those stretches, they still found ways to get wins. So I don't think it's going to be the worst thing. I do still think that come playoff time, if they want to be the NBA championship team that everyone's expecting them to be, that they're going to have to find a way to play together, not just cope together in the regular season, but cope together in the playoffs when things are hitting the fan, and they really have to come tight. Because I definitely think, especially if Kyrie is not able to play, there's talks that they might just say, go ahead, we'll pay the fine. But if he isn't able to play home games, the chemistry is going to become a point at some time. How great these guys are, you still have to look at that. They're all human beings. And when all 3 of them are on the court with the light shining bright in the Eastern Conference Finals, you wonder, is James Harden going to react how he did in Houston with Russell Westbrook? Or is KD going to, who knows? So it's scary. It's a scary injury for them. But at the same time, it's going to allow people to kind of see if James Harden and Kyrie still have what it takes to play at the level that KD's been playing at all season.
Yeah, man. I think, like you said, Coach T, I think they're going to take a hit here and drop a little bit. The only way that they don't take a hit is if they play Kyrie Irving, okay? First offense is a warning. Second offense is $1,000 fine. Third offense is $2,000. And every offense after the fourth one for the rest of the season is $5,000 a game.
Hey, let the Brooklyn Nets hold a little money, man. Let them hold something.
When your owner is worth billions of dollars, man, billions, that is pocket change. Pay the fine and play Kyrie Irving, especially right now. But if they don't decide to do that, I think James Harden goes back to his old ways, kind of picks up a little bit more of a scoring role. They'll still pull out victories. You know, they'll still beat teams in the bottom of the East and the bottom of the West. They're going to struggle against those top tier teams. They're going to struggle against the 76ers, the Bucks, the Bulls, if they're healthy. Even teams like the Cavs, they're going to struggle against any of the top teams in the West. So, you know, if they're not going to play Kyrie, hopefully James Harden picks it up a little bit, and the rest of the guys, I mean, next man up. You just got to do what you got to do. But like you said, I think they fall to the 5th or the 6th seed by the time KD gets back. But KD will be back. He'll be fine. He's one of the top players in the league, and they'll be okay going into the playoffs. I don't really see it affecting their playoff run or their capability of making the playoff run, but they'll definitely be a lower seed, and they won't be one of the top 2 teams in the East.
Well, okay, so that's my question. Look, let's say they don't pay the fine, which I don't see why they would, right? And or let's say Kyrie doesn't get vaccinated. Okay, let's say things stay exactly how they are, where he only plays away games. If they don't have home court advantage round 1, Kyrie's only playing away games, and Durant is coming back off of a knee injury, how effective can those guys be?
Yeah, that's gonna go right back to that chemistry thing.
Back to the chemistry. Yep.
Yes, that's was my biggest point. Is like those guys shown in the past while facing adversity that they aren't really able to respond as good as a unit with other people. James Harden has shown that. Kyrie has shown that. You know,
it's gonna be tough. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna be tough for sure.
It's definitely gonna be tough. You don't just go walk down the street and replace a Kevin Durant. That's not how things go. Sorry, this is off topic, but the Steelers are getting torched right now. They got Kelsey dancing on them right now. Look at it. Go get it. Go get it.
Okay, that's how I got distracted. I'm like,
go get it, big boy. Yeah, they getting after it. Yeah, so we'll wrap this up, man, because again, I mean, it's a big story because Kevin Durant is one of the faces of the NBA. Whenever a face of the NBA is out, you know, a month and a half, almost 2 months, it's a big story, especially when that team is the team that he plays on is a top 2 team within their conference. So you hate to see that, but you know, get well soon, big fella, and you know, as long as he is fully healthy for the playoffs, for him and for the Nets, that's all I can ask for right now. All right, so BG, your baby, okay? You waited. It's like you waited 9 months for this, 40 weeks. You did the first trimester, the second trimester, third trimester. Now it's the end of it, man. Now you in the hospital right now, and you in the waiting room, ready to deliver this baby. So give us your baby, which is the top 10 current. Underline, circle the word current NBA players. This is your baby, so give us the parameters, give us the criteria, and I will actually let you, BG, begin here because this is your baby. Zay will go second, and I'll be in the third spot. All right.
There you go. My connection went out right before that.
Oh, so you're good.
Hopefully we're good right now. Yeah. So we're gonna do the top 10 current NBA players. This is based on stats this year. What are they doing on the court? Their abilities. And also their performance this year. So a little bit of everything. This has been stressing me out all week. And I honestly,
it has.
I honestly switched it up just last minute right here too. Just thinking about it, looking at my list, thinking about things. So I'm going to give my top 10. I'm going to go backwards order. And then I'm going to break down my top 5, a little bit more detail here a little bit. So starting at number 10, I'm going to go with my player of the week in the East, James Harden. He's still a great player, even though his stats are down a little bit this year, his scoring stats, but he's still doing, a little bit of everything. His turnovers are kind of too high for me. He's averaging over 4 turnovers a game. He needs to get those down a little bit, but he's still one of the top guys in the league, and he can go get you a bucket at any moment. The new rule change kind of hurt him a little bit, but hopefully he can get back on track and get the Nets staying on track here. In my 9 spot, I got Ja Morant. He's having a great year this year. This one's a little bit more on performance going on this season. But even though he's having a great year, he's having an MVP season. He's got the Grizzlies in the top 4 spot in the East, I think, or the West. I think they're sitting number 3 right now. Still, when I think about some of the other guys on this list, I still can't put him over them. My number 8 spot, I got DeMar DeRozan. He is balling right now. He's playing really well. And the reason why he's not higher on this list is because the reason why I think he's balling out is because the core that's around him. I mean, he's got LaVine, he's got Lonzo when he's back and healthy, Caruso. I mean, those guys are just all playing hard, balling out. The Bulls got young guys too that want to play hard. So it's not really, he's putting a lot on his shoulders, but there's not a lot asked to be put on his shoulders. He has other guys that can step in on a nightly basis and provide some spark for him. So this is where we're getting into the real nitty gritty here. Number 7, I got Luka. Luka's having a tough year with, being out of the lineup. I think he's missed 15 or 16 games this year so far. So if he was playing more, he'd probably be a little bit higher on this list. But, he's an all-time great, man. He's going to go down as the best foreign player ever to play the game unless somebody after him comes around. But, I mean, he is.
Giannis is foreign.
You're right.
I know what you mean. I know he's going to be up there. I'm not
right. He's up there. There's an argument.
He's going to be up there.
But he just got his I think he just broke some record for, amount of triple doubles that he had the other night last week. So he's one of the youngest to ever do it and get those many triple doubles. My 6th spot, I got Jokic. And you talked about him, and I want to make this point. If there was guys like LeBron and KD and Steph and Giannis, if they were putting up the numbers that Jokic was putting up, I mean, it would be nonstop talk. Every talk show would be talking about this cat. He's balling out. He's one of the best passers in the league as a big man. I mean, best passers, period. But he is a big man, and to be that great of a passer, I mean, he's right behind guys like LeBron and his passing abilities and playmaking. And to be a big and do that is something special. So now getting into my top 5 here.
Drum roll. I'm going to add a drum roll right here.
It was tough. But my number 5 spot, I'm going to go with Joel Embiid. Okay? Joel Embiid right now, he's averaging 27.2 points per game. He's averaging 10.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1.4 blocks, plays offense, plays defense. In today's game, the big man isn't used that well, but he's by far the best big man in the game. He has by far the best low post presence in the game. And he really, without them having Simmons this year, he stepped his game up to another level. He's having an MVP season, and he's just balling out. He's 3rd in PER, which is player efficiency rating. So, he's an efficient player. Number 4, some guys might have this guy higher on their list, but Steph Curry's number 4 for me. I can't put him any higher. I think Steph gets favored by the excitement of the 3 and the highlight reels that he puts up, and he's making guys dance a little bit on defense. But Steph is 22nd in player efficiency rating. 22nd. He scores 26.3 points per game, but, a little bit over 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's more of a defensive liability than any of the guys in my top 5. So for Steph to be number 4, I think that's about as high as you can put him when you're talking about all-around game. Number 3, this guy would be number one if he didn't have a weakness that my other two guys have, or my other two guys don't have. But I'm going to go with Giannis at number 3. Like I said, this guy would be scary if he had an outside jump shot. I think he's only shooting about 30% from 3 on the year. He's gotten better. He's a little bit more confident. Some games he hits it, some games he doesn't. And when the playoffs come, there's still a strategy against Giannis that teams can go to that you just can't go to with the two guys that I put above him. But Giannis is still averaging, just shy of 29 points a game, 11.3 rebounds a game, 6.1 assists. He plays defense. He's going to be probably first team all defense, second team all defense. So, he's sitting at number 3, and I think deservingly so. So my number 2 player, I'm going to go with KD, man. KD is my number 2 player in the league. He's first in scoring, barely first in scoring. He's averaging 29.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, 5.8 assists, but he's 5th in player efficiency rating. He does it all, man, and I love his game, and I almost had him number 1, but when I broke down the comparison between him and LeBron, which is who I have at number 1, LeBron is still a better basketball player than Kevin Durant. When you're talking about all-around players, I mean, LeBron is averaging 28.9 points per game, just shy of KD. So he is 37 years old, and he's second in scoring in the league right now at 37. He averages a little bit more rebounds, 7.5, a little bit more assists, 6.5. He averages a little bit more steals per game, a little bit more blocks per game. So KD and LeBron have very, very identical statistics, but LeBron's on the defensive end is just a little bit better, and he's the 3rd in ranking, or LeBron's 4th in the ranking in player efficiency. KD's 5th, and I mean, LeBron's going to be the best player in the league until he retires, man. And that is just how it is. He's the 2nd best player, probably all time. First in some situations, all around player. I don't think there's anyone that you can compare LeBron to besides MJ. I mean, Kevin Durant is silly, man. Kevin Durant has never, I know the Lakers are in a bad spot right now. Kevin Durant couldn't carry this Lakers team by himself. I mean, this Lakers team was built to have Anthony Davis on their roster, and LeBron was supposed to be passing the torch to Anthony Davis. So when they don't have that guy, they're in bad shape. And LeBron's doing everything he can to keep their head above water, and he's balling out right now. He's an MVP candidate, and he's my top player in the league still.
I love it, man. You really broke it down. Clearly, you put some time into it, man. And you got a nice little list. I will say you got a lot of top players, some guys that have been there for a while, some guys that are considered, annually top guys, some guys that are surprise guys as well. So I love to see that. Zay, if you want, give us you can just name your 10 through 6, and then you can give a breakdown of your 5 through 1.
For sure, and I definitely have to go hats off with BG. I know he really had me losing sleep over this list, which, is really not perfect, but I don't think I could make a perfect list. Coach T, you mentioned it earlier, the NBA is in good hands right now. It's a lot of players that could be in this top 10 list. It's a lot of players in this top 10 list that could be, up from 2 to 10. 2 to 10. I mean,
yep, real fluid.
A lot of diversity in the list and a lot of potential in the list as well. So going from 10, I'm just going to list my 10 through 6 as T mentioned, and then I'll break down my top 5. So at 10, I had Joel Embiid. At 9, I have Chris Paul. At 8, I have Trae Young. At 7, I have James Harden. At 6, I have Nichola Jokic. And 5. So with Steph Curry, it's a lot of the things that BG mentioned as well. So, but just the fact that I believe he relies on the three way too much, you know, and as BG mentioned, he 22nd in efficiency rating, and it's really not too many other things that he does well consistently. Now, like, it'd be different if he was shooting threes but had the all-around game as like prime Russell Westbrook, but he doesn't. He averages 5.4 rebounds a game, and assists he averages 6.0. So it's not even guaranteed, you know. And they have some ball players on that team, but it's not guaranteed that he's a game changer in the sense of, if I'm not scoring, what else am I gonna do? My number 4 is Giannis. Giannis, he's definitely on my top list for one of the best foreign players of all time. 6'11", obviously led them to an NBA championship last year, but this year the Milwaukee Bucks are never going to be out of the conversation, just because of his versatility. Averages a double-double, 6th in the league in rebounds, 3rd in scoring, which is like by 1.4 off, and in assists he's 20th in the league, but he's 2nd in player efficiency. So that tells you that no matter what is happening, he is going to make an impact on the court, which is like one of my favorite things. You know, you look at the plus minuses, and that means he's having a lot of games with pluses. You know, it was his game against Golden State, he had 11 assists and 5 turnovers. You know, so obviously that assist to turnover ratio was great. And then 12 rebounds and 30 points. And he is a consistent scorer. Like the past 5 games, 31, 43, 26, 30, and 30. So it's like, man, that's consistency at its finest. And this is probably where a lot of my social media followers and friends are going to heckle me. But Ja Morant is at my number 3. I want you guys to talk about me. Whoa. Because Ja Morant is at my number 3. And it's not just because he led he's not just because he led the Grizzlies to an 11-game win streak. I feel like he is going to keep on elevating as the season goes about. He's not going to lead them to an NBA championship.
What did BG say about Ja Morant? He is what Russell Westbrook thinks he is?
Yes. Quotes of BG. Quotes of BG. Yes. He could definitely, he's not going to lead them to an NBA championship, but he could definitely lead the Grizzlies to a first round scare of almost anybody in the Western Conference. They have showed that they are not scared of anyone, and that is what I love the most about the Grizzlies. And it's not just because they have a good team, but it's because they have a great leader in Ja Morant who is not afraid of anyone. You know, the last week they had the clip that they were showing all over the Sports Center and stuff of staring down the little kids. But that wasn't just like him, you know, being a mean old man. It was him. He was in game mode. He was in game mode. Yeah. And so he that next game, the Grizzlies literally had a trade in any NBA jersey you have for a Ja Morant jersey.
I didn't know that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so it was and it might have not just been Ja Morant, but it was a lot of Ja Morant jerseys handed out. So
get rid of the other teams and go get you a Memphis Grizzlies jersey.
Yes.
Come on now.
And so they were giving them out, and that was just awesome. And like, what other young player in the NBA is doing what he's doing as consistent as he's doing it? Obviously, 24 points a game isn't the greatest. And I take that back. It is other NBA players, but that goes back to my other point that like this list could be anyone. But Ja Morant has impressed me the most. 24 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 9th in the league in efficiency, player efficiency rating of 24.46, and he does it all. He's consistent, and I love that about him. And I definitely, he deserves a spot in top 5 for sure. And then 1 and 2, I'm gonna switch them around. I think LeBron number 2, only because the leadership factor of things. Now, I understand like the NBA is a different like game when it comes to having to lead grown men, but he has shown he can do it in the past, but he hasn't been able to take that control of his team just yet. And I think in that same aspect, Kevin Durant, he was ready to go from the jump, and he's going to be ready when he comes back. So LeBron James, obviously, he's the best player. He's going to obviously go down as one of the best players of all time. But as of this season, in my top 10, he is at number 2 because I am not impressed with how the Lakers have responded. And it ultimately falls back on him because he is the face of that team right now. And then number 1, I already gave it out, Kevin Durant. That man, hopefully he comes back strong from his injury. But, I mean, he is the reason why the Nets are still in conversation. With all the stuff going on with not having a great bench and James Harden, you don't know what you're going to get from him. And Kyrie Irving, you don't even know if he's going to be able to play. Kevin Durant said, forget it all. I'm going to ball. And he leads the league in scoring. He's grabbing rebounds and stuff as best as he could. But, I mean, he just creates a matchup nightmare for the Nets when anybody they play. So he's definitely one of the greatest in the league right now. And he tops off my top 10.
Woo! You guys are a tough act to follow. Okay, number 10 for me is Grayson Allen. No, I'm joking. He is not number 10 for me. No, you guys had a great list. So the tough part is that, in BG, this is one of the tough things we talked about all the week. What are the parameters, right? Is it current players? Do you include injured players? Do you include players that, over the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they've done their thing, and maybe this year they haven't done their thing, whether it be injury or team circumstances, whatever it is. There's a lot of factors to add in when you talk about top players currently in the NBA. I'm going to try to do my best right here. Number 10 for me, Damian Lillard. Again, he's a guy where you say, hey, is he a top player? When he's healthy and he's in the game, he is easily a top 10 player in the NBA. I don't care what anybody says. If somebody tell you that Damian Lillard is not a top 10 player when he's healthy in the NBA, smack them, okay? And never listen to a word they say. Please don't smack BG and Zay because I don't think you guys had him in the top 10. But other than that, listen, he's a top 10 player. That goes without saying, man. He's been in the playoffs almost every year that he's been fully healthy. He's led them there. He's been that guy. Okay. Number 9, James Harden for me. It goes without saying, won MVP before, besides Russell Westbrook and maybe Luka, he is Mr. Triple-Double. All right. Number 8, who is almost his prototype, Luka Doncic. He is number 8 for me. Another guy that is a threat any day of the week to get a triple-double. And we know what Luka does, man. I mean, international superstar. He's been the man since what? Probably age 12? Since middle school, he's been the man. So, no doubt in that young man. Number 7, I don't think anybody had him in here. We forget, he led his team to the NBA Finals just last year. Just last year. We talking about Devin Booker, okay? D-Book, who's straight bucket. May have to call him Devin Kardashian because he may have to change his name, or Devin Jenner. He may have to change the name there, but I mean he's a bucket. He had 30 piece today against my Lakers. My Pistons, he had a 30 piece. He's unstoppable, man. He's just a scoring machine. He does it at all levels. People think of him as just a shooter. He's really not even just a shooter. Like, he doesn't even shoot as many threes as what people think. I mean, he's more of a mid-range guy. He gets to the free throw line. He can get to the bucket, and he's improved his defense a lot. So I love his game, and he's originally a Michigan boy. So got to show love to him. Number 6 for me, I talked about him, Shaq 2.0, Joel Embiid. Number 5 for me is Steph Curry. I think he's in everyone's top 5, especially after the year he had last year. He just continued that this year. He had a sour last week, but I can't knock somebody for, a 7-day stretch. It happens, man. Sometimes the ball's just not going in, but he is the most dangerous, scariest player when he is hot. Think of anybody in the NBA when they are completely hot. Steph Curry's that guy where you're like, I don't want him to get completely hot. He is a nightmare if he's hitting 50 footers. He's the scariest guy in the NBA.
I saw a great, I don't know if it was a tweet or something, sometime. It might have been a TikTok. I'm big on TikTok. I try to stay hip with young kids.
Hey, shout out, man. What's your TikTok name? Let the people know.
I don't even post anything. I'm just on there looking for entertainment, man. I'm not posting. I'm not trying to be popular, But he said they were comparing KD and like Zay and I had KD in our 1 and 2 spots. So they're comparing KD and Steph, and they said how'd it go? It was something like a 6 out of 10 KD is better than a 6 out of 10 Steph, but a 10 out of 10 Steph is better than a 10 out of 10 KD. I mean, when Steph is on,
he's on.
It's
good night.
It's unstoppable, man. It's
good night. He's video game.
You gotta guard him. You gotta guard him once he steps over half court. And when he's got that going on, it's like you said, it's video game. He's got the fire going, and he ain't missing. So when Steph's a 10 out of 10 Steph night, good night. Close the door.
Forget about it. Yep.
Like old school MJ, man. It's over.
And he's only been doing that for a decade. So so it is what it is. So he's number 5 for me. Number 4 for me, man. I mentioned him earlier, Nichola Jokic. He's another big guy. I mean, he can facilitate from anywhere on the floor. He's a point center. Name another guy like him that's a point center. Tell me another guy like him.
He's number 1 in PER. Jokic, number 1.
Number 1 in PER. Again, triple-double threat at all times. And he is just so commanding, man. And look, he doesn't look the part for some people, but he gets the job done. And I like guys that produce. So that's why he's number 4 for me. Number 3 is Kevin Durant, scoring champ. Hey, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. So he is Kevin Durant. And it sucks that he is injured right now. But, I mean, coming off that Achilles injury, 2 years ago, he hasn't missed a beat. And before that injury with the MCL, he was in the running for the MVP, right? And I still think he may have a chance to get it. It's going to be tough missing a month and a half, but MVP candidate right there. So he's number 3. Number 2 is my guy, LeBron James. Team is not doing so hot, man. They look very bad. It's embarrassing, honestly, how the Lakers look, but it's not for lack of effort coming from LeBron James. Right, 37 years old. You guys have all heard the narratives. You heard every story about, heard all the stats about oldest guy to do this and that, longest tenure of yada yada for stats. He's still getting it done. Still one of the most dominant players in the NBA. And nearly 40 years old. So you got to give credit where credit's due. And then number 1 for me, the king of the court. How can he not be number 1? King of the court. Who won the title last year? Right? Who was Finals MVP last year? Who's still doing their thug thizzle? Who's still doing their thing? We talk about the man, the alphabet man, the Greek freak, my Nigerian brother. We talking about Giannis. 7 foot, can pass, can rebound, can score, right? He may not have the greatest jumper. He ain't Steph Curry. Wow. Sorry, guys. I'm watching this Chiefs game. They just threw a touchdown pass to the center. Good Lord have mercy, man. They look scary. As scary as the Chiefs look, Giannis looks double scary. He looks twice as scary as anybody else in professional sports because, again, 7 foot monster that can play. And plus, he can play defense, y'all. He can play defense. He can test every shot. He can guard 1 through 5. Literally, we ain't just saying that to sound good. He can literally guard 1 through 5. Okay. And then again, he's triple double. The nights he doesn't get a double, you actually are surprised. And then he's good for at least 1 or 2 triple doubles each week. So that's my top 10. Again, a rundown: number 10, Damian Lillard, 9, Harden, 8, Luka, 7, Devin Booker, show him love. 6 is Joel Embiid, Shaq 2.0. Number 5 is Steph. Number 4 is Nichola Jokic, the center point guard. And then number 3 is Kevin Durant. Number 2 is LeBron James. And number 1 is king of the court, Giannis. So I like all of our lists. I like, again, we talked about this. This is like a theme for the show, man, which I really love this NBA year. Variety, diversity, right? We didn't name it. I think, Zay, you had Trae Young in there, right? John Morant's not on my list, but he's knocking on the door. But I know BG, I think you had John Morant. Zay, I think you also had John Morant as well. Like, we got a lot of flavor, man. Who was that?
I threw DeRozan in there.
DeRozan, that was a name I was going to say. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned him. He's a guy that he should have probably been in my top 10, maybe over Dame Lillard. But I just think when they're both healthy at their best, Dame has done it for longer. But, DeRozan is definitely honorable mention. You know what I mean? He's definitely honorable mention. But there's so many really good players, man. It's thinking of week 14, which is coming up. We're going to start with MLK Day. You talk about so many really good players. There's so many really good games coming up this week. So we're going to talk about those next. The first game that I had on my mind in terms of top games coming up in week 14, we're going to start with Monday, which is MLK Day. So shout out to the NBA for doing that, man. They do a really good job there. I know, Christmas Day, they got a slate of games. MLK, every team is playing. So I love that. That's always good to see. Hopefully, have some special jerseys and uniforms for that day. That'd be really cool to do. First game that I have, and probably the biggest game, which is on Monday night, which is the Eastern Conference #1 team, the Chicago basketball team, aka the Chicago Bulls. They are facing the Western Conference #3 team, the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a 3:30 kickoff Eastern time on TNT. So this will be a national game. I'm going to let you start. Zay, I'm going to let you start. Give us your take on this game. Why is it a top matchup? And if you want to pick the winner or your feelings on this game, let that be known.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, you look at the Bulls, they're still first in the Eastern Conference, and everyone is balling. They're a young team, so you knew, and this was my typical expectations. Obviously, like a lot of Chicago Bulls fans and just people in general in the NBA, they expected them, oh, these guys are great, they're gonna be great the entire season. No, that's not how it goes. They're humans, and most of them are younger than 25 years old. So they're still growing up as individuals, and they're learning that you got to be ready to play game in, game out. So I could see this being a great game for the Bulls from their end of things to make a statement game in the NBA.
Is it a must win? Is it a must win for the Bulls?
It's not necessarily a must win, but if they do win it, it's one of those wins that they can rattle off. Show and prove. Yeah, they can rattle off like 6. This could be the beginning of a big streak if they can get a good whooping on the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's like one of those things, like competitors. They're all competitors, and I know they've been seeing Ja Morant this, Ja Morant that. Well, this is their chance. This is Zach LaVine's chance, who I feel the Bulls will probably put on Ja Morant, either him or DeRozan. But this is their chance to show that, hey, Ja, same blood. You ain't no different than us. So I can see that being the Bulls and the things from the Grizzlies aspect. I mean, those guys been on the road. They've been on the road. Obviously, not too far off of a 11-game win streak. Got Ja playing well, and got Bane playing well. Got a really good team overall. But the Grizzlies are playing at home, so they're gonna come out firing. They're gonna come out firing, and so it's gonna be a good game, both ends. I still think the Bulls, if they pull out this win, which that's my pick, I'm gonna make an emotional pick, and they're gonna roll out a few more.
Love it. BG?
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. For the Bulls, no Levine, no Caruso, no Lonzo Ball, no Javonte Green. The Bulls are going to go on a terrible run right now and lose a bunch of games. They got the Bucks coming up later this week that we're going to talk about. Bulls are hurting. We talked about the Nets dropping. Nets are the second in the East. Bulls are the first in the East. Top 2 teams in the East about to drop a couple spots because until the Bulls get healthy, they are not the same team. I know they got some young cats, some like very young cats, but unless they get Levine back and Lonzo back and Caruso back, which is the heart of their defense. I mean, Lonzo and Caruso were balling at the beginning of the year, getting deflections. It's going to be a tighter game than it should be, but the Grizzlies pull this one out. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm picking the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Grizzlies too, simply because it's a scheduling loss for the Bulls. Right? BG talked about the injuries. It's very tough to overcome that. And to me, every team has a down period in the year. Now, some last longer than others, right? Detroit Pistons haven't been down all year. They haven't had an up moment at all. Okay. For the Chicago Bulls, they've been so high flying all season. To me, this last week and this week, these are the weeks where they falter a little bit, simply because injuries, timing, the fact that, other teams are starting to kind of figure out what they like to do, what they can do well. And DeRozan is just not enough to knock off the Memphis Grizzlies, who, again, in their last 10, 11 games, they've won almost every single one of them. So I got to go with Memphis here. Got to go with Memphis at home. And again, the fact that these are TV games, these players know. They know the entire world is watching, right? So whenever you have the entire world watching, players know that. They know it's a TV game. They know it's a big deal. They treat it as such. And I got the Memphis Grizzlies winning this. And I don't think it's going to be close. I actually think they're going to be big. They're going to be big. They're going to be big favors in this game, talking about the Grizzlies. And I think they cover whatever the number is in this matchup. The second matchup we want to talk about, we're going to skip a few days. That was Monday with the Bulls and the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to fast forward all the way to Thursday coming up, which will be January 20th. And you have the Western Conference number 1 seed. You have the Phoenix Suns facing the Western Conference number 5 seed, and number 5 seed who are trending upward. I think they're going to be a top 4 seed pretty soon. Talking about the Dallas Mavericks. This is another TNT game. This is a 7:30 p.m. tip-off Eastern time. Between these two teams. We will start with you, BG, here. Give us your take on this game.
We talked about, you talked about Devin Booker a little bit. We talked about Chris Paul. The Suns are one of those teams that, and the last 3 years, man, since they got Chris Paul, they've been one of the top teams, if not the top team in the last 3 years, and they don't get talked about enough. But without DeAndre Ayton, without Cam Johnson, with the Mavs getting Porzingis back and Luka getting healthy again and Jason Kidd, their coach, back, I'm going to pick the Mavs at home in this one. I think the Mavs are kind of, like you said, they're not where they want to be, and they got to make a little bit of a push before the All-Star break, stay hot. They're a hot team right now, and I think they keep they go get a big win versus the Suns early this week.
Yeah, the injury to Aiden is going to be tough, but it is a day-to-day injury. So at the same time, I feel like even if he is out there, he will make a little bit of an impact for the Suns, who already have great chemistry. And I think Chris Paul, he has done a great job ever since he's touched ground in Phoenix on making sure that everyone is ready to go. And he's done a great job at being the orchestrator of the offense. So, yes, Mavericks got all their guys back, but I'm looking at the Suns in this one. They got Devin Booker, who's shown in the past, like he's a 50, he could drop 40 points easily, and he hasn't done it yet this season, unofficially. That's unofficial stating, but he could do it anytime. So I definitely have to go with the Suns in this one. It'll be a good game. It'll be a close one, but definitely with the Suns.
So BG, you going with who in this matchup?
The Mavs. I'm taking Luka and the Mavs.
Okay. And then obviously, Zay, you going with the Suns. So I'm really the tiebreaker here. Looking at the stats here, offensive rating, the Suns, they are 6th. The Mavs, they are 18th. Defensive rating, the Suns are the number 2 team in the defensive rating in all of the NBA. But the Mavs, they're 4th. And the Mavs been locking down. Like, you think of the Mavs, you think of high scoring, you think of a bunch of points. It ain't like that no more. It's not like that no more. They got low totals. They got low scores. They love to play defense this year. So definitely going to be a defensive matchup. I would easily take the under here. Okay, for any fans listening there. And again, it's not a betting show. I said this on the college football show. I said it on the NFL show. I said it on the NBA show. It's not a betting show, but I know that's of importance for some people out there. All right, they have a little interest in that. But I would definitely take the under here. And since points are at a premium, I would imagine the Suns, unless somebody, major is going to be out. If everyone's playing, I would imagine the Suns are going to be the favorite. And with that being said, I like the home team. I'm with you, BG. Like, TV game, again, I mentioned it. These guys play a little bit different when the world is watching. TV game, Dallas Mavericks are at home. They're a team that can play defense. And when you got a team that can play defense, they'll be at home. It's a national TV game. I got to roll with them. Plus, they got one of the top 10 players in the NBA in all of our lists, which is Luka Doncic. So I'm rolling with the Mavs. I'm rolling with Luka. I'm rolling with Jason Kidd. I'm rolling with that whole squad there, man. I love that matchup. I love that game. I'll definitely be tuned in.
Plus, the Mavs got to make up for what the Cowboys did today. Come on, man.
Yeah, they
got to give one back to the city, man.
That definitely should have been expected with the Cowboys. Those guys never come to play in the playoffs.
They never come through. Yeah, you guys are right about that, man. Maybe Luka can play quarterback for him. I don't know. We'll see. All right, 3 more games to talk about for next week, which is, again, NBA Week 14. This is the third matchup. This will be Friday, January 21st. We have, again, the Chicago Bulls, number 1 in the East, against the number 4 team, who I think very soon will end up being a top 2 team in the East. We're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. This is an 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Milwaukee. Yes. So, BG, let's talk about this game. How do you feel about it?
Bucks big, embarrassing big. I mean, who's going to stop Giannis?
No one. Number 1 player in my rankings. No one.
The Bucks are playing, so I'm gonna say Bucks big. I'm gonna say Grayson Allen has about 4 or 5 3-pointers. He has a big night. Shout out to my Dookie.
Shout out to Grayson, man.
But you know what? The Bulls are in trouble right now, and I'm not saying that just because I want to go against the locals and all that. They're in trouble, man. If they're meant to be healthy, if they're not healthy, and some of those guys are they could be back for that Bucks game, but the Bucks got too much for the Bulls right now.
Yeah, bouncing right off of that, I think and
come on, Zay, hurry up. Just say, find a reason, find an excuse, find a way to lie to yourself and the people that tell us you're going with the Chicago Bulls.
I'm not gonna lie to myself. I'm not gonna be over positive right now. The Bulls, they are gonna get whooped. I'm pretty sure that's a national TV game as well. So they're gonna get whooped. But I still think even if they're healthy, they don't Giannis is just a baller. Even the healthy Bulls team, this would be their kryptonite. The Bucks would be their kryptonite. And the Bucks, they're just Giannis does it all. They have perfect role players and Middleton and Grayson Allen. And I just think they just they are a team in the East. They are the best representation for the East. That's the team that I'd be if they went back to the NBA Finals, I would say, man, I'm pretty confident they'll probably win it. So I'm going with the Bucks on Thursday. Sorry, Chicago.
Yeah. All right, Steelers making a little game, man. They scored a touchdown. Deontay Johnson, man, from Big Ben. Made it a 21-point game now. So cool. All right. Back to the NBA. Yeah. In this matchup, the Bulls versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, anybody that has listened to any of the Coach T shows, people know I'm a contrarian. So I would love, because both of you guys went with the Milwaukee Bucks, I would absolutely love to take the Bulls. I would love to just go against the world right now and take the Bulls. I would love that and just be laughing to the bank next week. I would love that. I really would. But I can't with all the injuries and the fact that Giannis is my number 1 player. This is a home game for the Milwaukee Bucks. We never talk about Chris Middleton. Why ain't he a top 10 player? He a straight bucket.
Yeah.
He a straight bucket. Bobby Portis. Bobby Porter's been balling, right? Grayson Allen, we joke about him, but he been shooting that thing for real. Like, Milwaukee Bucks, they have a legitimate chance of repeating. And if you repeat in the NBA, that puts you to a whole nother stratosphere, another echelon in terms of the history of the game. And with that being said, Bulls, it's a nice story, but with injuries and the fact that I don't know who's going to be there for this game and the fact that it is hosted in Milwaukee, I'm going to make it a three-headed monster, man. It's not always good when all my co-hosts take the same team. It's never good. It's never good. But I got faith in Giannis, man, and I got faith in the Bucks. So I'm rolling with you guys, but I'm going to take the Bucks in this matchup. I think it's going to be a really good game if you're a Bucks fan. Let's say that. All right, second to last matchup. We're going to go out to the West Coast, the left coast. We're going to get to the number 3 team in the Western Conference. We have the Memphis Grizzlies, who were, Zay, if I'm not mistaken, were they your second team or second time they were your team of the week for the Western Conference?
No, John Morant was.
Okay. Yeah. So we got Memphis Grizzlies and John Morant facing my team of the week and my player of the week for last week, the number 6 team in the Western Conference, Nichola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. This game is in Denver. It's a 9 p.m. Eastern tip-off. We'll start with you, Zay. How do you feel about this matchup?
I definitely think this one of them for this is like the revenge tour for the Grizzlies, and they're gonna come in this one high. You know, they just have every single game they come in, you just like, man, these guys could easily win this game by 20. And that's just this season. But I think that continues with this game. You know, Jokic, Steven Adams gonna give Jokic, some issues. Jokic will still probably drop 15, 20, but it's gonna be a
still get a triple-double, but he'll give him some issues.
It's gonna be hard-earned. But I just think it's too much star power on the Grizzlies in the things, and they come out with this one.
Yeah, so I think the Grizzlies pull off here. I think they're two pretty evenly matched teams. You got Ja going against Jokic. We talked about Jokic being the most efficient player in the league according to the PER rating. I like the home team in this matchup. I like the Nuggets. I think they're a well-balanced team, and I think they pull off this win, and they kind of cool off the Grizzlies after the Grizzlies go beat the Bulls earlier in the week. So I'm gonna go with the Nuggets here.
BG, I don't know if I like you on the show, man. I may have to replace you, man. You think too much like me, bro. I'm with you, bro. Like, and I so wish you would have taken the Memphis Grizzlies. I thought that's what you were gonna take. So hats off to you. I'm all over the home team, and I spoke about it earlier. Like, again, Nichola Jokic. I talked about the Denver Nuggets. Like, I just like what they do, and that's mainly because of the Joker. I'm not going against the Joker here. Like, when he at home, and the elevation is different. It is different. It's a long week. What is this? And this is a Friday game. So again, Memphis is going to play at least 2 or 3 games before they play this matchup, right? And then they got to travel there and play in the altitude. So, and they got to go against the Joker, man. The other Joker, Jokic, who's a Joker, and I don't think they have an answer for him. I don't think anybody in the NBA has an answer for him. So definitely not the Memphis Grizzlies. Name their big man. Who do they have as a starting big man? Jaren Jackson. I mean, I like him. I like what he can do, but he ain't holding the Joker. Let me tell you that. So I'm going with the Joker here. I'm going with the Nuggets at home. I love them in the altitude, and I just think they're gonna get a nice little hot streak. I'm talking over. They may end up being my team of the week again next week. And that's forecasting, foreshadowing, next week, and just the fact that I think they can do a lot of really good things. And I like what they do, and I like how they compete, and like the fact that they have a MVP candidate they can always lean on. So you always have a chance, especially at home, with a player like that. Last matchup, Sunday, which is the last day of Week 14. We have the number 4 team in the Western Conference, who was never talked about, ever talked about, but we're gonna talk about them. You have the Utah Jazz facing the number 2 team in the Western Conference, which is the Golden State Warriors. This is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off. BG, I will let you start since Zay started the last matchup. BG, go.
So with this game, I went back and forth a little bit here. I'm still kind of going back and forth as I'm looking up some of the stuff. As of right now, you got for the Warriors, I mean, obviously James Wiseman's out, Gary Payton's out, Draymond's out with his calf injury for the next 2 weeks, I think they said. Steph Curry is actually out tomorrow with a slight hand injury. I think he hurt his hand in one of his previous games. He's expected to be back after tomorrow night. But with this game being in Golden State, the Warriors, I mean, they've been one of the best fan bases the last, since they've made their championship runs in the last 8 years. It's hard to beat Golden State at Golden State, but Draymond is such a huge part of that team. We talked about the reasons why Steph isn't in my top 4 players, or he's not above guys like Giannis or guys like LeBron, guys like Durant, is because he doesn't do as much all around, and that's what Draymond does. He does not as high of a level as those 3 guys, but Draymond is your all around guy where he's playmaking, he's rebounding, he's getting assists, he's doing the dirty work. If the Warriors are going to win this game, it's going to be Curry going off, but I'm going to pick the Jazz. I'm going to pick the Jazz coming into Golden State, kind of knocking off Golden State when they're down a little bit and injured. And I'm going to roll with the Jazz on this one. Kind of just a gut feeling. My head and my heart doesn't want to go against Steph Curry at home, but I'm going to go with the Jazz here.
Man, oh man. So I think just to make Coach T think a little bit, because this is one of those games that could go both ways. Obviously, we don't know the extent if Steph is playing through an injury or if it's just a little short nip. So
it's the hardest thing about the NBA, man. It's literally day to day. We picking these games almost a week in advance for this one. Yeah. So it's tough.
It's tough, but I think the Warriors going to come out strong. This is another proven game against a good Jazz team. They're 29-14. They have consistently a team that can be a Western Conference finalist team for like the past 5 years. So it's a good team, but I think the Warriors with Klay getting back in rhythm and getting back healthy. Obviously, we hope Steph is going to be healthy. Missing Draymond Green, I mean, you still got Andre Iguodala coming off the bench and Otto Porter, who's not a terrible option for the team. He provides consistency with 8 and 5 and 2 assists a game. So it's one of those things that if the role players can step up for the Warriors, they definitely come out with this win.
Yeah, if the Warriors don't have at least, they don't have Steph Curry, they don't have a chance. All right, that goes without saying. But if they don't have Draymond for this matchup, I don't see how they even keep it close, even at home. I really don't. Again, one of the most slept on teams in the Western Conference is the Utah Jazz. Okay. Yeah, they may not do a lot of things when the playoffs come around, but in the regular season, they one of those teams that you just don't want to see because night in and night out, it don't matter who's suiting up for the Utah Jazz. They're going to play hard. They're going to play defense. They're going to shoot the 3. I think over the last 3 years, they've shot the most amount of 3s per game than any team in the NBA. So they've committed to the 3 ball. So they can match the 3 ball of the Golden State Warriors. All right. So if the Jazz are knocking down shots, and if you got the Jazz as an entire collection of players performing versus just a Steph Curry or just a Steph Curry plus half of a Klay Thompson, I don't know how much that's going to get you. Even with this game being in Oakland. It's not even Oakland anymore. I think it's a San Francisco's technically, but even being in the Chase Arena, which is a Golden State Warriors arena, I don't think they really have a shot if Draymond's not playing. And that's how critical, that's how important a Draymond Green is. Okay, and I talked about it last show. I'm gonna talk about it this show. The de facto point guard for the Golden State Warriors is Draymond Green. Plus, he turns around and he is their best defender. Okay, besides Giannis and maybe 1 or 2 other guys in the NBA, talking about LeBron James, if that, right? Maybe another guy I'm probably missing, but Draymond's one of the few players in the NBA that can guard 1 through 5. So if he's not there, you're going against the Utah Jazz, who have Gobert, who have Bogdanovich, who have it goes without saying Donovan Mitchell, who have Conley. I even like Royce O'Neal. I like what he does. And then they got probably the most slept on 6th man of the year in Jordan Clarkson. Like, they get buckets, they play D, and they're unstoppable again. And they shoot the 3-ball better than anybody else in the NBA over the last few years. So I'm definitely going with the Jazz here. And I just think they're gonna make it real tough for the Golden State Warriors. And I don't like how things are trending for the Warriors right now. I really don't. I don't like how things are trending. The Warriors, to me, they're the Western Conference version of the Chicago Bulls right now. It's just you can't expect a lot. It's just a slump right now. It's a downtime for them. You don't know what you're going to get from them. You didn't know what you're going to get last week. They had a down week. This week, I think that continues. Not to say that will last the entire rest of the season, but right now, currently in the NFL, in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors and the Chicago Bulls are just they're in a tough spot right now. So, and I'm sure you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, they are, and that's coming from a Bulls fan.
Golden State's definitely in a better spot than the Bulls, but they gotta get Clay back up to speed. They gotta get Draymond healthy. Draymond's the key. I mean, Steph is the guy, but Draymond is the glue to that team. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely got to challenge that a little bit. I think the Warriors are in a tougher position only because they play tougher. I still think, the East, they're uprising a little bit with challenges night in and night out.
You hate the East.
But the West is just like, that's like SEC football. Those guys, they got it. They got it over there.
Yeah.
So the Warriors it'll be a real tough stretch for them. Like, the Bulls can afford being the 6, 7, or 8 seed because they could easily come into like a winnable situation in the first round. But the Warriors being the 8 seed, having to play somebody like maybe the Suns, that's not good for them. The 7 seed having to play the Lakers. The 6 seed having to play the Jazz. Like, those are all teams. If you're not healthy, those teams in this season, you could easily put yourself in a bad predicament.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, cool, man. Look, speaking of things we got to do and not wanting to be in a bad predicament, I actually got to go help my father-in-law. He's mounting our TV right now. So, and I was supposed to be done maybe like 20 minutes ago, but I just love doing this so much with you guys, BG and Zay. You guys have done a wonderful job, a phenomenal job. Great energy, great insight, great research, by the way. I mean, I could tell you guys were good students, man, in school, because you guys did a lot of really good research, and I love to see it. Before we wrap up, as always, any shout outs, anybody want to say hello, anything like that where you want to give out to the people who are listening right now?
Definitely shout out my parents for sure. I know you guys are tuning in. I know my girlfriend and her family are tuning in as well. Appreciate all your support, and all of our Hobart Brickies, all of our Hobart guys out there, and our team GR3 guys. Hey, definitely. Please challenge me when you see me this week. Please challenge me. I want to hear it. Shout out to
on site. It's on site, as the kids say.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up kind of with Zay there. I just want to give a shout out to my family. Anyone who knows me, I got a lot of siblings. I got 3 brothers and a sister. And my oldest brother tonight, him and his wife invited us over for a little bit of a fish fry. So I got to see the 2 nieces and my nephew. And as soon as I walk in, Uncle Brandon. So that always warms my heart. So shout out to the family, the nieces, the nephew. Shout out to the guys, the Hobart Bricky guys, the basketball guys. We got a big one on Tuesday. We probably end up being the number 1 team in the state of Indiana, going to, got to go play Chesterton at Chesterton. So we're going to get some work in tomorrow on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we're going to try to prepare for the top team in the state of Indiana and see what we can go do.
What time is practice tomorrow?
10 to 11:45.
10 to 11:45, man. We're going to get that work in, yeah. And like BG said, man, one of the top teams we're going to play on Tuesday. But if you're a competitor, it's the type of game you want.
Definitely. Never fear men that bleed the same blood.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that quote. My father told me that when I was young. And like, no, I'm not standing down to nobody. Be ready.
There you have it, man. Couldn't have said it any better, man. So before I close, personally, I definitely want to give a shout out to my family. Give a shout out to my mother, my brother, my sisters, my son. Again, is on the intro. So if you listen to the intro, that's my baby boy. Shout out to my in-laws. Shout out to my sister-in-law. Shout out to my Bricky boys. Most importantly, shout out to my wife. Tomorrow, January 17th, is her birthday. So I know she's going to be listening to this. So baby girl, shout out to you. Ever since I met you years and years and years ago. Met you at that frat party, by the way. You have been the most beautiful person inside and out. And I want to say happy birthday to you. I'm so glad that I actually approached you years ago in college, and now we have a little family, man. So shout out to my beautiful.
We're going to have to get some details on that frat party, Coach.
Okay. I give you guys that. A small detail, it was actually a holiday party. So, yeah. Yeah, think of a little Santa's helper dress. Think about that.
Down at good old Bloomington.
Good old Bloomington, man. So Chloe, shout out to you. I love you. Happy birthday. You are the most special person in my life, and you have given me the greatest gift that is our baby boy. So shout out to you. I love you, and happy birthday again. So fans out there, continue to listen, continue to support. Team GR3, we're shouting out to you as well. We got to do that. Bricky boys, which we have done all show. We're going to shout out to you guys. Shout out to Coach Brown. And shout out again to the people that support. We're going to continue doing this. We ain't stopping. The train going to be rolling, man. And we only getting better week to week. So continue to show us love. Continue to show us support. And we'll keep bringing you that funk. Peace. Peace. All right, guys. Great job. I mean, you guys are getting better and better and better. I got to say that. I'm not just saying that. I actually mean that wholeheartedly. So
appreciate it. It's
fun, man. It's fun for sure, man.
Yeah. Something to look forward to every week.
Like I said, dude, all week, man. I'm itching my brain, trying to get prepared. I'm looking at stats all week long. I got teams.
I can tell you guys talk about PER, and you guys putting on your glasses, PER and analysis, and that's pretty good. Defensive rating and rebounding rate. I'm like, okay. Look at them.
You got to, man. You got to.
Yeah. Hey, so if you guys come up with any topics, like BG, that was perfect with the top 10. Like, if you guys have anything, just let me know. We'll decide on what we want to do. For sure, we'll have the best of. I just feel like it's a good recap for the previous week, and it falls right into the next week, especially if we continue to do this on Sundays, which is the last day officially of each NBA week. We'll just fall right into the next week. So we can keep those. We will keep, the previews of the upcoming week or upcoming games. But anything else, any of the current topics, current events, let us know what you guys want to do. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. You guys get some rest, get some sleep. I appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow morning.
All right. I won't be there.
Oh yeah.
They got to market some stuff, man.
You got to market the market.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
I love it. All right, man. Go listen to some Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Peace.